Good evening, Southeast Texas. Hope you and your family are doing well this evening. We're going to update you on the potential that Beta may have on our area and take your questions here in just a few minutes. Try to get as many as we possibly can. But first off, update you on the radar. We're starting to see a few sprinkles out there and even have a flash flood warning now over towards near Houston. That's not a surprise as Beta nears Matagorda Bay. So this is the first flash flood, say that 3 times, first flash flood warning that we've seen out of this system as it has moved close to the coastline. That's until 8:30 p.m. Nothing like that over our area. This is the situation we'll have to be watching for as we head on into Tuesday and especially Wednesday, some of these feeder bands. Those are the best means for dropping locally heavy rainfall. And we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. As far as rainfall, this is the last 12 hours, 6 inches south of Houston. And a lot of that has fallen just in the last couple of hours at about 5 inches down south of southwest of Galveston. I think that's Brazoria County. Otherwise, almost non-existent here in Southeast Texas. We do think things are going to be picking up, coming up overnight, and the best chances will certainly be here in the Triangle with lesser amounts up towards the lakes area. I've been saying that all evening. And right now I don't see anything catastrophic as far as things go. We'll have to watch for the potential coming up, I think, later on tomorrow for some feeder bands that could be developing across the area. But a pretty healthy risk of rain coming up tomorrow and a better chance coming up on Wednesday. So again, trying to see what we normally see is convection firing up at nighttime near Matagorda Bay where the storm is going to be making landfall over the next couple hours. Winds are at 45 miles an hour, so it has slowly weakened, I should say, from last night when it had winds of 60 miles an hour, still moving northwest at 5 miles an hour. Again, we've been talking about it pulsing. In other words, storms fire up, then they encounter that dry air and then weaken, and then we get drier air, and then that changes, and then you get thunderstorm activity to fire up again. So it's back and forth as far as the thunderstorm activity. That is an anemic system, that is a weak system as it is fighting that dry air and shear. So here's the latest forecast as it makes landfall tonight. Now Tuesday, there's a potential as it's rounding high pressure off towards our east, the potential that this could stall temporarily coming up tomorrow. I don't think that's going to be a big player in our forecast. Other than that, it then will move off towards the east and northeast, and that will make it closest approach to Southeast Texas coming up late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The issue I want you to see is that the winds are forecast to weaken as this ejects off towards the east and northeast. In fact, look at the distance between these white lines. These are time stamps. Notice that it moves quicker, and quicker off to the northeast. Not expecting a stall after this eventually kicks off to the east-northeast, and that is forecast probably Wednesday morning. So this is going to pick up speed and move off towards the east. The other thing is I want to point out is that this is the outline of the cone. That's the northern end. This is the southern end of the cone. It could go anywhere within that cone. That's what this means. So if you're concerned about this trying to re-strengthen into a hurricane, put that out of your mind. I'm very confident that that's not going to happen. The reason is increasing shear, and it's still continuing to fight dry air. This is, once it does start to turn to the east and northeast, it's going to scoot. Okay? We're not expecting a stall. You're going to see a fairly strong jet coming in from the north of 40 knots at, let's see, about 30,000 feet. So that's going to help push this on off towards the east and northeast, and it's going to start flying. The issue is, the biggest question in my mind, the biggest situation as far as that goes is, what are we going to see as far as rainfall? I don't think anybody really knows right now. Our best assessment, 1 to 6 inches. Could it be more? Yes, it could be. It depends on the structure of the storm. What are we going to have as it moves over our area on radar? Are we going to have something that has lots of feeder bands? This is potential, but as this is, if you go down the center line, the further this goes offshore, the better it is for us, okay? If it was further to inland, then I would be a little bit more concerned, because then we would have more of a southeasterly fetch. At this point, that would give us, as the storm goes by, we'll have easterly and then northerly winds once it goes by. That was not the case with Harvey, and that was not the case with Imelda. We had southeasterly winds. So again, it's all about its trek. With this, it shows easterly winds. That's harder to make. Well, it's not impossible, but it's not as likely a setup for, you know what I'm talking about, okay? That's what I see right now. So none of the warnings have changed. Still looking at those tropical storm warnings along the coastline, and coastal Jefferson and coastal Chambers County still under the storm surge warning. And again, inundation. This is the water being pushed in off the Gulf of Mexico overland due to the storm surge. That means all the marshes around Sabine Lake, near Bridge City, the Bessie Heights Marsh. This is the levee system, the seawall around Port Arthur, and then along and near and south of the Intercoastal Waterway. Those marshes are going to fill up, obviously, okay? What does that mean? Well, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches, feet I should say, above land is what we're looking at right now. Once we get north winds, that's the blowout, and that'll be improving coming up on Thursday. So, looking at flash flood potential, mainly the triangle. Southern half of our viewing area is under the flash flood watch. And that is because it's going to be closest to where that center of circulation goes as we head towards Wednesday night. As far as the flash flood potential, lowest chances up in the lakes, greatest potential towards the triangle, obviously. This is the latest assessment that we can see as far as rainfall. 1 to 3 inches up in the lakes, 4 to 6 inches here in the triangle. Okay, Sam, 100% wrong. Double it. Let's go 12 inches in the triangle. I don't think we can get any more than that. At least I hope we don't. And I know you're very you're troubled by this as far as the rainfall potential, and that should say feet instead of inches. I'm sorry, inches. That's correct. And you know, I'm sensitive to that. I understand your concerns, and that is the best that we can do right now. 4 to 6 in the triangle. I'm watching high-res modeling. I don't see anything catastrophic, but I think we'll know much more late tomorrow as far as how this is going to affect us as far as rainfall. Well, let's move on. Let's get you on as far as tornado threat. Tornado threat is going to be very low. We have a scale 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 is the lowest risk, marginal, slight, low. It's non-zero, but it's a low risk. And that is the case when you have tropical systems making landfall. Any of those feeder bands could spin up a brief, weak tornado. That is going to be tonight and Tuesday night. This will probably go on into Wednesday. So again, here's our forecast, our local impacts. And again, I think the worst of the winds are going to be coming up Wednesday night into Thursday morning. 15 to 25 miles an hour with gusts to 35 in the lakes, or I should say 10 to 20 with gusts to 25 in the lakes, and 15 to 25 and gusts to 35 in the triangle. And that's, again, coming up Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Storm surge, we've already covered that, 2 to 4 feet along the coastline, coastal Jefferson and Chambers counties, and 1 to 2, maybe 3 feet in and around the marshes of Sabine Lake, the Bessie Heights Marsh, near, Bridge City, over towards southern Orange County and around Sabine Lake, and then along and south of the Intercoastal Waterway all the way to the coastline. Again, I'm comfortable with these numbers. I feel confident with these numbers, okay? The big question, and I feel confident and comfortable with going with a low threat for tornadoes. The biggest question mark, the least confident I feel about is the rainfall. Again, if you double that, say I'm 100% wrong, double it. I think we can handle 12 inches. I don't want any more than that, but I don't see anything, any modeling that's showing anything catastrophic at this point. And that's where we're at. Any questions?
Very first one, Christina in Beaumont wants to know, we use the word feeder band a lot. What is a feeder band?
Okay, a feeder band is a very highly proficient way of dumping very heavy rainfall, and it causes flash flooding very easily because you get what is called the training effect. If you think about the cars on in a train, think of those as individual storms. And you're staying right here, and you've got that train moving, say, over you. That means each one of those cells in that feeder band are going to dump heavy rainfall. And if that feeder band does not move east or west or north or south, then you're going to see very heavy rainfall. That's what we saw during Harvey. And let me get to the right graphic, and you'll see this feeder band that we're watching right now that is over towards, let's say, Houston. This is a feeder band. This is a very highly proficient way or means of producing heavy rainfall. These feeder bands rotate into the storm in the center of circulation. That's why they have that flash flooding. Notice the line isn't moving right now. So each one of these cells is moving along that line over the same spot. That's why there's a flash flood warning in effect. I think we could see flash flooding. There's a potential for it. Some of those feeder bands will probably set up over the area. We just don't want to see feeder bands sitting over us for 4 or 5 hours dumping 5, 6 inches of rainfall per hour like what we saw during Harvey or Imelda. I think that potential is very, very low at this point.
Got a couple of questions about some travel plans. One to League City Wednesday morning and one between Houston and Austin Thursday.
League City, you know, it just depends on how they're set up as far as rainfall between here and Tuesday. The system is going to be moving up the coastline, so the rains will probably be picking up over that area as this ejects on off to the east and northeast. So I would certainly expect rain into League City then. If you get over the other side of Houston, Austin, not a problem. Not going to be an issue there.
Questions for Port Arthur and Nederland areas.
What do they want to know?
Flooding, rainfall, etc.
That's pretty much the same as everybody else. Let's see, there is a flash flood watch. Let me get to that. Flash flood watch for the southern half of our viewing area. And that means Hardin, southern Jasper, southern Newton, Orange, Jefferson, including Port Arthur, and Mid-County, a flash flood watch. What does that mean? That means rain could come down so heavily that it causes flooding. It happens very quickly. That is what flash flooding is. And there's the potential for that. Did I answer their question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone in Bridge City asking what about wind speeds and things. They're still under tarps there.
Sure, I understand. Again, that's at the end of the show right here. Wind speeds for the triangle, I think we could see some wind gusts for the triangle, including Bridge City, maybe up to 35 miles an hour, and that will probably be late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I think it's the worst. Say it's 40. So it's going to be a depression as it moves over our area Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So add 5 to that for worst case scenario, you're looking at 40 or less.
A couple rapid fire area questions here.
Yep.
Fannett, Winnie, Hemphill, Orange.
What do they want to know? Rainfall, winds.
Rainfall, flood estimates.
Okay.
Anything different from anyone else?
Winnie, Fannett, 4 to 6 inches, maybe 7, 8. Let's see, did I have that? Let's see, where's that graphic? Yeah. Winnie, Fannett, 4, 5, 6 inches. Fannett, same thing. 5, 6 inches, somewhere in that vicinity. That's the best that we have right now as far as the modeling goes. Again, rainfall is the biggest question in my mind. I'm comfortable with the winds being 40 mile an hour or less in the triangle, even lesser amount are wind speeds up in the lakes area. I'm very confident with that. I'm confident with going a low threat for tornadoes. I am confident on the storm surge values and the inundation. It's just the big question is rainfall. That's the most unconfident I am, if you will, as far as the forecast goes.
Got one from our friend Eric Brill. Patrick, what rain rates per hour start to concern you when it comes to flash flooding?
That's a good point. I would say 3 inches, and it depends, Eric, is how long does that feeder band sit up over your area? You know, if you've got 1 inch per hour rainfall rates and that lasts for 5 hours, you've got 5 inches. If that train or that feeder band does not move, you don't want the feeder band to do what it's doing over towards Houston right now. Let me get to that. That is at the top of this show. And you'll see that on radar. And this is what we don't want to see over our area. Rainfall rates of 2 to 3, 4 inches per hour, but lasting for 2, 3, 4 hours. We don't want to see that. In Harvey, we had rainfall rates of 5 and 6 inches per hour, and that was for a few hours. And that's why we ended up with, 26.03 inches of rainfall the 29th of August, 2017. We don't want a repeat of that. And I don't think we're going to do that. With Harvey, we told you 3 days before we were going to see 50 plus inches. Imelda was the big surprise. And that was a different animal. This is a different scenario. With Imelda, we had southeasterly winds, perpendicular to the coast, much more tropical feel to the atmosphere over our area. Do you remember that? Here, we've got more of an east and northeasterly wind with dry air. It felt comfortable outside. You know, it was still humid, but it didn't feel tropical across our area. So that leads me to feel more confident that we will not see a repeat, knock on wood, as far as a Imelda type scenario. Again, this is going to move. Once it turns the corner over towards maybe Wharton, it's going to start ejecting off to the east and northeast. You're going to see a jet coming down from the north, a jet stream I should say, and that is going to be moving winds from the west to the east. So it's going to start scooting. Once it makes that turn, it will move. It's just we want to get it out of here as soon as possible.
A couple people asking if you anticipate us to be concerned about power outages.
Sure, anything's possible with 40-mile-per-hour winds. There could be some isolated spots that lose power. It just depends on which limb, on what tree, on what block comes down. It's possible. I don't think it's going to be widespread. Certainly nothing what Orange County and Newton County saw during Laura. Don't think that you're going to see something like that right now.
Has the rapid weakening of beta surprised you?
Not with the dry air. Seen this many, many times. You combine dry air, if a storm ingests dry air or wind shear becomes an issue, these storms can fall apart. We've seen this happen this season. They go into an area in the Atlantic Basin where there is drier air mass, they can fall apart. Seen this many times over my career. Not surprised at all. A lot of similarities to what happened with Dawn. Similar, it fell apart as it approached the Texas coastline. What else?
Is there any particular reason that it seems like these tropical storms tend to make landfall at night?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's uncanny that they always seem to do that. But that's a good observation. Yes, just timing. It's totally random, but it seems like they always do. Certainly around here.
Got some people up in the bayous asking what they can expect.
The bayous.
Let's come back to that. I'm going to get specifics.
Yeah,
from
I need
them.
specifics. I need location. If you can tell me your location, if you're asking questions, it really helps me.
Yeah. Let's see here. I think go ahead and start again from the top. We're getting a lot of repeat questions now.
Okay. This is the latest on beta. It appears that it is trying to make a landfall very close into Matagorda Bay. And if that occurs, it will be the first Greek lettered or Greek named storm ever to hit the continental U.S. And guess where it hits? In Texas. Lucky us, right? Because in the only other season that we've had to use Greek letters was in 2005. None of those hit the continental U.S. Alpha hit Portugal, and it was Beta hitting Texas. Lucky us, right? So here we are watching a feeder band. It's not an impressive feeder band now. It was earlier, and that's dragging heavy rainfall in through South Houston, and that's why there is a flash flood warning in effect. 4 to 6 inches, a lot of that 6 inches falling in the last couple of hours. This is what we'll have to watch as we head into Tuesday and especially Wednesday night. Not much of that over our area. I think tomorrow late we may start to see some feeder bands affect the area. Let me move on past this, get you up on Beta. It is trying to look at the enhancement over around Houston, around that feeder band. But notice also off towards our east, all the enhanced colored tops over into off the coast of Louisiana. That's where a lot of the heaviest rain way away from the center of circulation is. But there is enhancement. Storms are developing in and around Matagorda Bay. Otherwise, this is what we normally see at nighttime, is these things flare up. But the thing is that for this to strengthen, these storms have to not dissipate. This has been pulsating. These storms have been pulsating up and down, weakening, strengthening, weakening, strengthening, weakening, strengthening. That tells me this is really fighting dry air and shear. It is not a sound or structurally sound storm. There is a low, but it is anemic because of that shear and dry air that it is fighting. So again, we're going to be watching a jet develop over North Texas, and that's going to help steer this off towards Louisiana, unfortunately. So again, it is making landfall this evening. It will turn north, and it may stall for a few hours over into the near the mid-Texas Gulf Coast, southwest of our area. And again, this is the cone of uncertainty. It means it could go anywhere between these two lines. I have taken that line that I have normally on there, the center line, off, because I don't want to focus on that anymore because of the uncertainty with this storm. The winds weaken. Notice, we go from 40 down to 30, down to 25. But also, as I said earlier, notice the distance between timestamps. Notice between here and here, and here and here, and here and here, they widen. That tells me the storm is going to start ejecting quickly and that a stall is not anticipated. That's the good news as far as this goes. But again, if it's further out in the Gulf of Mexico, we may not get that 6 inches of rainfall. If it's further to the north, then we could double it. That's what this means very easily. At this point, that's the center of the line, and that's what we're looking at. So it's going to move. I'm not expecting a stall from looking at the upper levels as far as the wind flow. This is the warnings, tropical storm warning for southern Liberty, Chambers, Jefferson counties, and also into Cameron Parish. Storm surge, coastal Jefferson and coastal Chambers County, 2 to 4 feet along the beaches. That pushes water inland. Okay, then you talk about inundation. How far will that water go inland? Intercoastal waterway, thereabouts, 1, 2, maybe 3 feet. It's not coming into Port Arthur because of your levee protection, and that's what that white means. It's going to be moving up into Sabine Lake, the Bessie Heights Marsh, around Bridge City, probably in through western sections of Cameron and Calcasieu Parish, in portions of Orange County, and also over towards Sabine Pass along the coastline. Not a surprise. We've seen certainly worse as far as that goes. Flash flood watch, southern half of our area. That's prudent because of the potential for feeder bands. Again, if the storm is further to the north, it will compound the potential for heavier rainfall. But if it's out into the Gulf of Mexico, then guess what? I don't think we're going to see that heavy rainfall. So again, at this point, again, any jogs north or south, still possible. This is not set in stone. If it's a further north, then you can expect an increase in rain chances and rainfall up in the lakes area. But if it's further south, we can take that 4 and 6 inches and maybe half it. So this is what we're looking at. What is the trajectory once it makes landfall and starts doing that east to northeast turn? Will it be coming in like this? Will it be coming in like this? Or will it be further south? It's just too early as far as that goes. We won't know, I don't think, until tomorrow. So again, tornado potential is low. We may be placed under a tornado watch. It's possible. But again, it's the feeder bands that we will watch for the heavy rainfall and for the quick, weak spin-ups along those feeder bands. So again, this is our forecast. I'm confident in the winds, I'm confident in the storm surge, and I'm confident in the tornado threat. The biggest question in my mind is the rainfall. What are we going to see as far as rainfall? I have scoured the models and continue to do so. I do not see anything that shows any more than about 6 inches of rainfall. And again, this all depends upon how that ejects off to the east and northeast towards Louisiana. Does it go in the Gulf? That means less rainfall. Along the coast, then yeah, 1 to 3 in the lakes, 4 to 6, maybe double that. However, it goes up towards the lakes area, that means a lot more for the triangle. And again, that's the uncertain part of the forecast. We don't always have concrete answers in forecasting in meteorology, okay? You know, if I did something else for a living, I would be able to tell you that A plus B is always going to equal to C. But you know what? In weather, it doesn't mean that. One day, A plus B may equal C. The next day, A plus B may equal Z. You get the idea? It's uncertainty. That's just how it operates. We don't have the forecasting. We use the forecast models, okay? These forecast models are imperfect. They don't have all the data that they need to be put into them. And then there's computing resources. You know, we could go on, but that's our best assessment at this point.
Okay, got more information on the bayous. It was Hillebrand Bayou and Taylor Bayou.
Okay.
They're asking about.
Let me go back. Let's see, the inundation.
And they're asking about storm surge there as well as rainfall.
Inundation, yeah, these bayous could be backed up. You can see that. It's, you know, not significant, no more than 3 feet. But that's what we're looking at right now, Taylor and Hillebrand. You know, I don't think it's going to be catastrophic.
Several people asking about Bridge City, what sort of stuff they need to expect and prepare.
Well, they're going to have, the marshes are going to go under as far as water, certainly Betsy Heights. I don't know your individual elevation as far as your homes, so I can't tell you that, but I do know and do think that it's very, very, very plain to see and pretty confident that we will see all those marshes go under at least 1, 2, maybe 3 feet at this point. Winds in Bridge City, you know, maybe 40. It's going to be coming as a depression, so 30 to 35, I think is some gusts there are a good potential. And 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of rainfall. That's what we're looking at right now in Bridge City.
Eric Brill has another one for us to ask you about how the rain over the previous few weeks,
which has been low and very dry, very low. We need the rain.
And how that's going to impact the ground being able to handle all the anticipated rainfall.
Well,
totals.
you know, the rains that we got on Sunday is certainly going to help absorb it. We're still dry. We need rainfall. It's been dry. I don't know about your yard. My yard is brown, brown, brown because I don't water. So I think we're going to be able to soak this up. You know, we're not talking about what we saw here in 2011 where the ground was so hard it wouldn't absorb anything. I think we're okay.
Someone asking, do you think we can see any water spouts?
Sure, absolutely. And those feeder bands offshore, you bet.
And then about what time is it in Southeast Texas we're going to start seeing impacts again?
Well, we're already seeing some small impacts. It's just going to ramp up, I think, particularly probably on Wednesday, early Wednesday, if not tomorrow night. But I think the worst of the weather as far as the winds and rain will probably be on Wednesday, and then the winds probably Wednesday night. Again, we may not get that 30 to 35. It just depends on how fast the weakening trend is. Any other questions?
Let me see if there's anything else coming in. Anything about Sabine Neches Canal, any sort of storm surge special there?
Well, I can show you that again. And minor stuff. One, up to Natchez. You know, water levels are going to... See, the thing is that with a hurricane, say you've got a 12-foot storm surge, okay? Then you got rain. So what that does is that prevents, the bayous are draining out into the Gulf of Mexico, but if you got a storm surge coming in, those bayous can't drain. And then you compound the problem by heavy rainfall over that watershed. So the waters can't drain out and it just backs up. And it's nothing like that is expected right now. So right now it looks like minor backup in the Natchez and the Sabine at this point.
Any road closures you're aware of
None.
between I-10 and Winnie?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay.
Then again, I've been looking at model data, not so much TxDOT.
Yeah. And you're not seeing any serious flooding issues?
Not at this point. You know, we're fine right now. You know, how are we going to do Wednesday night? That's the big question. So that's the very latest, folks. Again, let me review what we're thinking as far as the forecast. And there you can see your town. Do you know your county? If not, why? One to 3 in the lakes, 4 to 6 in the triangle. Which county do you live in? If you live in Buna, do you know you live in Jasper County? If you live in Woodville, do you know you live in Tyler County? You need to know that because of the potential for severe weather warnings. So if a tornado warning was issued for Hardin County, would you know what if you lived in Hardin County or not? That's something to think about too. Let me go back to the forecast. And again, review this one more time for anybody just tuning in. We're confident in winds, in storm surge, and tornado threat. I'm good. I have high confidence in that, for the most part. We may see some jostling of those winds, but I don't think it's going to be a major scenario or wind event. The rainfall is the biggest question. I wish I had more concrete news for you. I just don't right now. But I think that the best assessment is 1 to 3 in the lakes and 4 to 6 in the triangle. Again, it's going to be greatly dependent upon how the storm moves across our region. Will it go up towards the lakes, or will it go out into the Gulf of Mexico, or will it skim the coastline? And we're going right down the middle as it moves along the coastline, and that's what we think is going to materialize. Do we anticipate a stall? No. Do we anticipate this re-strengthening if it gets in the Gulf of Mexico heading towards Louisiana? No. Why? Dry air, shear, and interaction with the land. That dry air does amazing things to weakening storms, and so does the shear. Those two things right there are enough to dissipate this system. That's what I'm hoping happens. But this is what we're looking at, a low threat for tornadoes and storm surge values along the coastline, 2 to 4, and 1 to 2 foot inundation because of that storm surge over land and through southern Jefferson County and the coastal marshes from about approximately the intercoastal waterway southwards, up Hillebrand Bayou, and then over towards Sabine Lake, in and around Sabine Lake. All those marshes going to go probably under. That's the very latest. Got one more question?
One more from Eric. He wants to know about rain totals north of Silsbee.
I hope you and your family have a wonderful evening. I hope I provided you with valuable information, and I hope I don't want to downplay it. I don't want to hype it up. I just want to shoot it straight to you and give you what we think is going to happen. Certainly changes are possible, and we will certainly keep on top of those and bring you the very latest. Hope you and your family have a wonderful night. As always, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. There's more weather at 12newsnow.com. And don't forget, download our app.